Guess who's back? Oh, it's Bubba G. Bubba G the Clown. Yes, we are teaching Bible basics for all those who want to know, especially those 10 and under, because you need to learn. You need to learn the Bible. Why? This is God's Word. God's Word. You need to learn God's Word. Don't you want to know what God has said? Yes. Who is God? God is the Creator. God made everything. God made the humans. If God made the humans, and God made the earth, and God made the stars, and God made the waters, I want to know what God said. And God spoke in His Word. Yes. That's why we're learning the Bible. Okay. So the last video, we spoke about Abraham. God's covenant with Abraham. God changed Abraham's name from Abram to Abraham. Sarah's name from Sarai to Sarah, because they were going to be father and a mother of nations. Yes, and this was to come forever, the covenant with His people. They were very old. Sarah could not have kids. So God said, I'm going to do a miracle. Because you can't have kids. I'm going to give you a son. And through this son, we are going to have a covenant. You are going to circumcise the male child, children, at 8 days old. Yes, the covenant, the circumcision is a sign of the covenant. Just like when God made the covenant with Noah, it was the rainbow. God said, we look at the rainbow, that's a sign that I will never flood the earth again. Now, circumcision is the sign in the flesh of the sons. Yes, the males. Yes, the first one, the promised one, is Isaac. Don't forget, Ishmael was circumcised too, but he wasn't the promised one. He wasn't the child that God said, I am going to give Sarah, because Ishmael came from another one. But he still got blessed. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes. Okay. So, we're going to see Isaac is born. So we're going to talk about in this video Abraham's descendants. Okay. So, Genesis 21, the birth of Isaac. The Lord blessed Sarah as He had promised, and she became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham when he was old. The boy was born at the time God had said he would be born. God always keeps His word. God cannot lie. Abraham named him Isaac. And when Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Did you hear what I just said? Abraham was 100 years old when he had Isaac. Okay. Sarah said, God has brought me joy and laughter. Everyone who hears about it will laugh with me. Then she added, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yes, I have borne him a son in his old age. The child grew, and on the day that he was weaned, Abraham gave him a great feast. Okay. So we see Isaac is born, just like God said. Okay. So now, Isaac is born. Okay. Now let's read about after Isaac is born. God, okay, let's keep reading. Okay. This is very interesting. In Genesis 22, God asked Abraham to offer Isaac up as a sacrifice. God was testing Abraham to see, do you really listen to me? Will you really listen to me? Let's read it. Okay. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He called to him, Abraham. And Abraham answered, yes, here I am. Take your son, God said, your only son, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. There on a mountain that I will show you. Offer him as a sacrifice to me. Wow. God was testing Abraham. Early the next morning, Abraham cut some wood for the sacrifice, loaded his donkey, and took Isaac and 2 servants with him. They started out for the place that God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham saw the place in the distance. Then he said to the servants, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there and worship. And then we will come back to you. So look at Abraham's faith. He said, we are going to go worship and we're coming back. He said, he thought God is not going to make me do this. Abraham made Isaac carry the wood for the sacrifice. And he himself carried a knife and live coals for starting the fire. As they walked along together, Isaac spoke up, Father. He answered, yes, my son. Isaac asked, I see that you have the coals with the wood, but where is the lamb for the sacrifice? Abraham answered, God himself would provide one. And the 2 of them walked on together. When they came to the place which God had told him about, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. He tied up his son and placed him on the altar. Excuse me. On top of the wood. Then he picked up a knife to kill him. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, yes, here I am. Don't hurt the boy or do anything to him, he said. Now I know that you honor and obey God because you have not kept back your only son from him. Abraham looked around and saw a ram caught in a bush by his horns. He went and got it and offered it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham named that place, the Lord provides. And even today, people say, on the Lord's mountain, he provides. The angel of the Lord called Abraham from heaven a 2nd time. I make a vow by my own name, the Lord is speaking, that I will richly bless you because you did this and did not keep back your only son from me. I promise that I will give you as many descendants as there are stars in the sky. Yes, or grains of sand along the seashore. Your descendants will conquer their enemies. All of the nations will ask me to bless them as I have blessed your descendants. All because you obeyed my command. Abraham went back to his servants, and they went together to Beersheba, where Abraham settled. So So what did we just see? We see God tested Abraham and said, does Abraham really listen to what I say? We're going to test him. Go and put your son on the altar. Your son I promised you. Will you do this? Abraham said, Abraham is a mighty man of faith. Why? Because Abraham said, we are coming back. But he actually put his son on the altar and put his hand up, was going to kill his own son. Wow. But God called an angel and said, Abraham, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Provided a ram for him. Abraham saw the ram, grabbed the ram, put the ram on the altar, took Isaac off. Isaac, you go over there. Ram, you'll get on here. He offered the ram instead of Isaac. And he got blessed. He said, I richly bless you. Yes. So, that's what happened there. And he said, the Lord provides, because the Lord does provide. You can trust him for that. Yes. Okay. So, we see Isaac, a son. Isaac had Jacob. That was his son. Jacob and Esau. Let's read that. Okay. Genesis 25, verse 19. This is the story of Abraham's son Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, an Aramean from Mesopotamia, and sister of Laban. Because Rebekah had no children, Isaac prayed to the Lord for her. The Lord answered his prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant. See, you can pray, and God will answer your prayers. Don't forget that. You can pray to God. You can ask God for things, and God will answer your prayers. She was going to have twins, and before they were born, they struggled against each other. In her womb, she said, why should something like this happen to me? So she went to ask the Lord for an answer. The Lord said to her, 2 nations are within you. You will give birth to 2 rival peoples. One will be stronger than the other. The other will serve the older will serve the younger. The time came for her to give birth, and she had twin sons. The first one was reddish, and his skin was like a hairy robe. So he was named Esau. The second one was born holding on tightly to the heel of Esau. So he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. So you see, Isaac had twins, Esau and Jacob. Esau was the older. He came out first. Jacob was the younger. Very interesting. So, as you keep reading, as you will read, you will see that in Genesis 27, no, if you keep reading verse 27, Esau sells his birthright to Jacob. But Jacob tricked him. So Jacob was a trickster here. And then Isaac blesses Jacob because the blessing would go to the firstborn, but Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. So Isaac blessed him. Yes. You can read that for yourself. If you read that, you can read that in Genesis 27. Isaac blessed Jacob. And Jacob ends up having 12 sons. Jacob has 12 sons.